Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back once again to another episode of Top 5 Poses. Last time we took a look at one of my favorite figures aesthetically, and that is Golden Frieza. Now this time we're taking a look at a character whose home planet started it all back in the second main saga of Dragon Ball Z, and that is Piccolo. I'm pretty sure a lot of you would agree with me on the fact that we are very long overdue for an updated Piccolo figure. I mean seriously, it's been like almost a decade now. That's crazy. He's the only one of the original figures that started the line who has not been revisited. What's up with that? Despite this, we have to work with what we've got right now, and hey, while it'd be nice to have a special beam cannon effect as well at this point, we can still get this guy in some badass poses. Let's get into it. Alright, so first up, I have a somewhat more relaxed pose than any other pose we've come across in this series thus far, and that is Piccolo just catching some zen. I really like this pose because not only does it take full advantage of the cloaked appearance, but as I said, it's one of the few poses shown so far in this series that's not as focused on an aggressive combat pose or a flashy power-up. Rather, it's just straight up chillin'. What's more is that this is a pose in which it works better if you manage to have a spare stand lying around to just prop Piccolo up on. This is the perfect pose for those of you who opt to go with a more unconventional, kind of casual style pose in your display rather than a fight scene. Alright, so coming in at number 4 is the only other pose on this list that involves Piccolo's cloak and turban to an extent. Having said that, it's not even fully on him at all. Rather, it's capturing the moment when Piccolo finally decides to take a fight seriously and throw all that weighted crap onto the ground. Now, that's not to say that having Piccolo wear these items takes away from his figure, but when it comes to something with a little bit more flair to it, I definitely think that this is the way to go. And again, you can get pretty creative here. Choosing how high and far away to position the cloak really adds dynamic action to this pose. And I think if I had a bunch of the impact ground effects from Tamashi, I'd even add it in here and put the turban in it just for added effect. All in all, this pose is great, it doesn't require anything outside of the package except for stand, and gives your display some more depth. So right smack dab in the middle of this list is a simple yet very effective pose in my opinion, and that is putting Piccolo in a fighting stance. Now this works well because it's taking advantage of the fact that Piccolo, while having a humanoid shaped form to him, does not look like a regular flesh tone character and is far from it, in fact being green for the most part, right down to his claw-like fingers. The silhouette of a pose like this alone speaks volumes to Piccolo's more cerebral approach to battles and fights, unlike his other Z comrades who are more powerful, which really helps to capture Piccolo's character on a shelf. Now of course, this has many variations to it, but regardless, as long as you don't keep all the joints linear in relation to the body, you're gonna get some pretty interesting looks out of this pose. Alright, so time for some honorable mentions before we get to our top 2 poses. So you guys had to have known this was coming and gonna be on here at some point, and with good reason. It was one of the better side fights in Dragon Ball Z against Android 17. Piccolo was given a lot more screen time here, and he was up against a pretty evenly matched opponent. Much like Vegeta and Android 18, you can get creative with this combo as far as who you want to have winning, or just giving or receiving punches, or even just straight up clashing both of them together. The next honorable mention here includes a figure that doesn't get much time in the limelight, and that is of course Nappa. I find this combo lets you get a little bit more brutal in terms of what's actually going on, and if you have these two, I highly recommend you try it out sometime. Now last up, of course, this list wouldn't be complete without it, and that's a pose with Gohan, his stepdad. Alright, so at number 2, I've got one of Piccolo's more chaotic attacks, and that is the Hell Zone Grenade. Now of course, we don't have an effect part to take full advantage and pop this one up another level, but I really think that it's a great pose. I think the only other thing missing as far as the actual figure goes is a screaming / yelling face, which hopefully we'll see with an upgraded release of Piccolo. But yeah, I love this move, and the ability to recreate it successfully with enough edge on a shelf is something few can say that either tried or accomplished. If we had a battle damage version of Piccolo, this pose would work even better. And you know, I think you'd pop it up to number 1 on the list. Alright, so at number 1, we've got Piccolo charging his signature move, the Special Beam Cannon. Now, we could have gone the other route and had him fire it, but with no official, easily accessible effect part, why bother? I mean, at least with having him charge it, you can still get pretty creative and add flair to the pose by changing up how he's standing, or in this case, rising up through the air to fire it off. But I mean, it really is a shame that we don't have a charging effect part for this attack either. Can't really blame them though, as this was one of the OG figures in the line, and at this point success wasn't a sure thing. But again, hopefully we will see an upgraded release of Piccolo with an effect part for either a special beam cannon charge or fire off included. Alright guys, so there's my take on the top 5 ways to pose the OG Piccolo. I think it's safe to say we all want a newer version, and I really hope it's announced soon. I mean, we've got the Dragon Stars version coming out now, but to actually get a better Figuarts version is another story. As we've got countless versions of Goku and Vegeta, it's time to give Namekian some love too. Anyways, what did you guys think? Do you guys have Piccolo pose like any of the ones on this list? Do you have one that's not on here? Let me know down below, and you know what I always say. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Peace.